Hello, dear friends. Truth is not a threat of investigation. Opinion piece, collapse, activation, turbulence, golden timeline, unresolved events, cognitive warfare, simulated scenarios, 1221 ascension portal, towards a utopian society, awakening to a bright future, unification of heaven and earth. Let's start. The matrix continues to crumble according to Drew 86. Reality is incredibly changeable right now. We are experiencing a period of quiet integration compared to the intense changes of the past few days and weeks. But who knows how long this will last? As the matrix society crumbles, the cracks become visible to everyone in a desperate attempt to feign normalcy. The illusion of reality in the collective consciousness is shattering. The only advantage this matrix has left is the distraction and daily pressure for everyday life. People are drained, exhausted, and struggling financially. Bills and responsibilities exceed their physical and mental capacity. Those with more resources are distracted from their inner emptiness, ignoring the signs, calls, and synchronicities of the universe. This leads to more drastic situations. Many are heading toward disaster. The turbulence will only intensify. As the collective cleansing continues, no one is immune to the karmic consequences. That is why the stench of despair is spreading among those clinging to their illusions. The show will not go on. We will reach a point of no return. The music will stop, and the spell will be broken. That moment will be far more transcendent than the global health crisis. Despite the decay and destruction of the old system, we have everything we need to heal and strengthen our physical bodies. We can unlock latent codes and DNA, absorb massive higher energies, access higher timelines, rearrange the building blocks of reality to fuel and provide resources for our personal mission, and ultimately co-create our own new Earth. Mental and spiritual preparation is required. High consciousness, keep perception, and energy awareness is essential. Expand your vision beyond third density reality. We are here to experience the greatest paradigm shift of the Great Awakening for the ground up, in the eye of the storm. Yet many remain absorbed in credit trivialities, corporate paperwork, and superficial distractions. It all comes down to free will. Elevate your perspective to the highest level. Become immune to the spiritual warfare. Dark entities cannot touch us without our permission and energy. The divine armor is the toroidal auric field of self-realized human beings, and it functions through magnetic physics. As much as I wish everyone could connect with their own personal power and light, only those in tune will do so. It will seem too esoteric to others, even though the seed has been planted. In any case, all is well, for the harvest of consciousness continues. Activation. We all agree that the planetary liberation process is taking too long. Therefore, let us take advantage of the massive astrological configurations of July to create a portal that unifies our consciousness and propels the process that will optimize the ascension timeline. The activation of the 1221 ascension portal will take place on July 25th at 5:53 a.m. UTC. Cobra posits that the process of planetary liberation is underway, but progressing slowly, and proposes leveraging a series of astrological configurations in July to accelerate this process through collective meditations. He mentions a recent conjunction of Venus and Jupiter as a sign of optimism and places everything within the 1221 ascension portals, which anchor energies influencing the evolution of human consciousness. The golden timeline is the optimal timeline, defined as the trajectory of Pappus' conical spiral, a curve of space that coils around the cone as it moves away from the vertex. It can be visualized as a spiral that simultaneously rises and rotates around the surface of the cone. According to Cobra, a unification between the new heaven and the new earth has begun since May, revealing a profound anomaly associated with human suffering. This anomaly will be gradually eliminated by the force of light, especially from July 9th onward, preparing for a key activation on July 25th. July 25th, 2026 is presented as the central date. It coincides with the Neptune-Pluto sextile, considered an energetic reset after 40 years, and the day out of time in the Mayan calendar, understood as a moment of pause, reflection, forgiveness, and renewal. This day is associated with meditation practices, connecting with nature and closing cycles. Furthermore, on July 25th, a synchronization will occur between the Sun and the star Sirius, the brightest in the sky, which for the Maya added a symbolic component of intuition and spiritual openness. Therefore, the day out of time is used for meditation, forgiveness, connecting with nature, and redirecting personal and collective purposes. The process of unifying the new sky and the new earth, the new heaven and the new earth, began on May 24th. This has exposed the innermost layer of the Lasker-induced quantum field anomaly, which exists in the Earth's 30-meter thick surface layer on the mental, astral, etheric, and physical planes. This infernal layer has existed here for the past 26,000 years and is the primary remaining cause of human suffering. After July 9th, the forces of light will begin to clear this field, paving the way for our activation on July 25th. On July 19th, 2026, the planets will form an unusual configuration called the Barbault basket. The outer planets play a key role in the predictions of André Barbault, who believes this rare event initiates a collective drive toward a utopian society. The Barbault basket is a rare planetary configuration associated with periods of social improvement and positive world reorganization. This alignment is an indicator of a transition to a more harmonious stage following years of crisis. From that date onward, negative situations will be transformed into positive ones. This process will lead to a golden timeline, in which suffering gradually diminishes until the planet's final liberation. This configuration is created when Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, and Uranus in Gemini is in Gemini. These planets form a fluid triangle in air and fire signs, generating highly positive energy. Barbault considered this configuration the most beneficial of the century. He predicts it is linked to periods of splendor, relaunch of civilization, social progress, and the constructive reorganization of the world. Traps. The film's end is rapidly approaching. Guardian Daniel explains counterintelligence cognitive warfare, the double awakening activation system, simulated assassination scenarios, the geometry of false flag psychological operations, and the function of unresolved discourse. Nothing is without consequences. Unresolved psychological operations are the mental preparation for the Big Bang. This keeps the system in a state of high tension, trains digital soldiers to secure evidence, and seduces the remnants of the dark side into the trap through their own misleading information. All threats lead to the same destination: the unmasking of the old world order during the final system reset. Anatomy of unresolved events. Why does nothing lead anywhere in the coalition's strategic warfare information? And why are there no unintentional mistakes in the script? When highly inconsistent reports are presented to the public, experts immediately realize that nothing holds up in the official narrative. The fact that these events lead nowhere in the civilian sphere is not resolved by the official agencies at the core of the strategic mechanism. In mind warfare, this is known as the principle of cognitive incubation. If the coalition were to resolve an event immediately, the charade would end, and the educational effect on the population would vanish. Leaving things unresolved forces the collective consciousness to grapple with contradictions. Double awakening. There are two target audiences, that is, one event and two different realities. Intelligence constructs these mental operations with a double coding to address two completely different demographics simultaneously and in a coordinated manner. First, a call to awaken the sleeping masses. For the majority of the unawakened population who still believe in the integrity of the inherited system, these events serve as an emotional shock. They witness the evident failure of the agencies. These shocks create fractures in the hypnotic spell cast by the media. Even the most politically disengaged citizens begin to question how a lone sniper who managed to reach a rooftop when undetected went undetected in the vicinity of the president. This completely legitimizes the legacy system security architecture. Second, training ground for digital soldiers. For the awakened movement and for experts operating behind the scenes, this event serves as both a test and a confirmation. The coalition deliberately plants mathematical, ballistic, and logical mistakes in the official narrative. Digital soldiers are tasked with finding these flaws. They train the decentralized network to deconstruct the official reality in real time and prepare the chain of custody for the period following the system reset. The strategic purpose is to prepare the indictments. Why is the truth being hidden in June 2026? The unresolved events are the coalition's assured ammunition depot. Every single event staged by the intelligence is perfectly documented. When the scare event and military tribunals officially begin, these incidents will be transformed into the most powerful indictments in history. The coalition will present the video footage, the actual radio transcripts, and the real ballistic data to a shocked global public via satellite. At that moment, the credibility of the legacy judicial and media systems will disintegrate in a fraction of a second, because it will be proven that the authorities actively engaged in deception and high treason. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.